What's up, Stitches, and welcome to, I don't know what this is. What's up, Stitches, and welcome to the Ranney podcast. This is my podcast all about the things I'm making with my hands and yarn. It is Thursday today here in the upper left USA. My name is Justine and I want to talk about knitting with you. That was aggressive. You, hey, stay here, stay put, sit down, talk about knitting. Welcome if you are a returning viewer, and thanks for coming to hang out with my face for the first time, if this is your first time. This is going to be my last podcast for a little while. I am headed out in just a couple days. I'm going to Alaska where I commercial fish with my family during the summertime, and I am mostly excited. It's about 80-20 excited and nervous, I guess. I don't know. I'm just a little overwhelmed. But that's not what I'm here to talk about with you today. Probably my last episode until August. I might try to get a little vlog going while I am out fishing. I will not have internet or electricity or any modern day convenience. I mean, we have ways to charge our phones, but other than that, it's pretty much totally off the grid, which I am really looking forward to, honestly. Yeah, just take a break and just step back from everything and yeah, spend some good time with my family and hopefully catch some fish. That would be great. But yeah, so we'll see if I film anything. Usually knitting doesn't really happen up there. I try to work on some projects, but in the last couple years I have brought larger projects up there and have gotten zero work on them. Last year it was my starting point shawl because the mystery knit along was going at that time, and I got the last clue and didn't get it done until after I'd come back. So yeah, anyways, that's all my excuses. That's all my intro. That's all I have to say, I think. So thanks for watching. No, just kidding. I am wearing a finished object today. It is my Tanya sweater by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks. I knit this in Sweet Georgia Fibers Tough Love Sock in silver, which I got in a grab bag that was amazing from Jimmy Bean's Wool. The grab bag was like $40 or something, and it had 2 skeins of Sweet Georgia fiber that I knit this in, and 1 skein of another yarn that I can't remember, but amazing. My gauge was off when I swatched, and I knew this. I swatched with a needle size up from what the pattern calls for. I swatched with a 4 and did not get gauge, but just went along anyway, mostly because I didn't want to use my interchangeable needle set. My interchangeable needle set is fine. It's the Addy Click Turbo something or other. It's an Addy Click, you know, interchangeable needle set. And it is okay, but the joins aren't the best. And especially with the smaller sizes, like the 4s for sure, the 5s are okay. By the time you get up to the 6s, they're not bad, but the joins are just not super smooth, so you get a little bit of stickiness. You get a little bit of a catch on the join from your yarn. Get a little bit of a catch on the yarn from the join. So usually that's okay, but for some reason I just wasn't having it. I have a fixed set of Addy needles. They have Addy Lace, they have Addy Turbo, I don't know which is which, but it's a set of Addies. It's a fixed, it's a 4. That's what I wanted to knit on, so that's what I did. I justified this because I decided to go up a size in the pattern. I knit the medium, and the medium specs, the medium measurements on the specs chart seemed like it was going to give me a lot of positive ease. I was kind of thinking I was going to be in between a small and a medium in order to get the recommended amount of positive ease. So on the medium, I was a little bit over the max amount of positive ease you would want. So I think the max is like 10 inches and I was at like 11 or 12. And I was like, that's going to be too much. So I'm going to go down a needle size, but knit the medium. My gauge on this top is 24 stitches by 36 rows. The recommended is 22 stitches by 28 rows. So my gauge was tighter. I didn't think it was going to be that much tighter, but anyway, this ended up being, the measurements turned out to be a size small. It is the measurements of a small knit with the stitch count of a medium. So I'm just like the teeniest bit peeved at myself that I didn't just go up a needle size, and I would have had pretty much the same result. I mean, the fabric would have been slightly different, but pretty much the same result with a little bit less effort. But it's all done, and you know what? I'm super, super stoked about this top. I don't know what this is. Look at my top. That doesn't do anything. Yeah, so I used just about every last bit of the 2 skeins that I knit this with. I had just a tiny bit left. I did split my, or not split my skeins, I alternated skeins throughout the body until I got to the short rows on the back, and then did the front part, alternated skeins on the front part until I got to the shoulder shaping, where there were more short rows. And it's, I don't know if you can alternate skeins with short rows. I imagine it would be pretty difficult and probably end up like with a bunch of ends poking out, or ends to be woven in. So I don't know. I can't tell where I stopped alternating skeins. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of something going on right there. Yeah. But I mean, it's really, really minimal. So yeah, then at the end I ended up with 2 30-gram balls, I think, maybe? No, I ended up with 2 10-gram balls for the sleeves, so I just knit the sleeves until I had not very much yarn left. So that is my Tenya, and so there's my alternated skeins, and this is partially blocking, but there is a little bit of a line where I alternated, and there's the lace, of course. I did mention last time that I was thinking about blocking it before I separated for the sleeves, just to make sure that it wasn't going to grow too much, because I did want it to be slightly cropped. I blocked it when it was about 10 or 11 inches. It grew just a tiny bit, just about ½ inch. So I ended up knitting this 13 inches before I separated for the sleeves, so it is a tiny bit more cropped on me. I think it was recommended to knit 14 inches or something like that, so it's just a tiny bit of a cropped top. I think my torso, my upper body, is a little bit shorter. The things you learn when you knit yourself garments. This is my 6th garment that I have knit since January. So yeah, it is June, and this is my 6th garment. So it is very tempting to challenge myself to knit a sweater or top every month for the year of 2018. It wasn't something that was really on my mind, but I don't know, just in the last couple days I've realized that I have 6 of them, so yeah. However, I know I'm not going to knit a sweater or any sort of top unless, no, not even unless it's a crochet like little tube top. No, it won't happen. Tube top. What am I trying to think of? It's not going to happen in July. I am not going to knit any sort of top in July. And August is probably iffy. I've got other stuff going on in August that, so what I'm saying is, while it is tempting, it's not going to happen. Unless I go crazy in September through December. It could happen. And that's tops talk. You know, grocery girls have sock talk. I've got tops talk. Because I can knit a top in 2 weeks. I can knit a sweater in, you know, just a little over. This took me a little over 2 weeks because I got distracted by other projects. But socks, spoiler alert, I'm not going to show you my Kings County socks this week, this time, this episode, because they are, I maybe put an inch on them. Anyways, distraction. Speaking of getting distracted by projects, my next finished object is the Harlow hat by Andrea Mowry. I knit this on a whim. I saw that she was running a 4-day knit-along, and I always want to do challenges because I know I can knit fairly quickly, and they're not super fun, I'll be honest. It's like 4-day hats or whatever. It's not great. Not the best time. I would like wake up in the morning, like during, this was over Memorial Day weekend, so it was a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend for most people or something. So it was the 4-day, it was a 3-day weekend for most people, so it was a 4-day knit along challenge. And this is brioche, so it is reversible, and it is the first brioche project that I have ever attempted. And the end result is not bad. I think I like it on, this is the main side, I think I like it on this side better. Yeah, like not too shabby for my first time brioching. The cast on edge is super tight. I had to cast on, I think it was like 5 or 6 times, and I was so frustrated. Finally got figured out my cast on and started brioching, and I absolutely hated it. I just couldn't figure out why anybody would want to brioche. I'm sorry. It gets better, but yeah. Oof. Like, I didn't like the texture all that much, and so I didn't know why you would put in all this extra effort to get this texture. However, I kept going. Because I was super invested in this 4-day challenge, and once I start something, I have to finish it. I hate, like, just leaving things. I say that, and then immediately I think of the 2 whips, at least 2 whips that I have that have been on my needles for a year or more. So, not necessarily always have to finish. Anyways, start a challenge. If I have something motivating me, I need to finish it. So I started really enjoying it. once I got into the rhythm, once I figured out, you know, like, okay, like, after, like, my brain stopped having to work and my muscle memory pretty much took over, then I was like, okay, I got this. We're good. Yeah, I, messed up my decreases. I messed up my hair. I didn't mess up my decreases. What happened was I had 6 stitches less than what you were supposed to have. So I had to do some creative decreasing here, and I think you can see it a little bit better on this side. I did a spiral decrease. The pattern calls for a I don't know what it's called, but it's, you know, you have like 4 sections, and on either side of each section you either decrease left or right or whatever, so you get just like a 4-prong decrease. Yeah, I mean, you can always go look at the hat if you can't understand my explanation, but I don't blame you. So yeah, that is, I just did a spiral decrease, so I just decreased every like 5 or 6 stitches or something. I don't know. It's fine. It's not perfect by any means. I had to learn how to fix your brioche stitches because I messed up a lot. But yeah, that's the Harlow hat, and I would recommend it. I am knitting another one currently, so I do like this pattern. I like the result. It makes a nice little beanie. I guess it just depends. Like, if you want to learn brioche and you like working with fingering weight, like I like working with fingering weight a little bit more than I like working with like a chunkier weight, which is a lot of what I see. Like brioche patterns, like especially in beginner brioche patterns, they have a chunkier weight yarn, and I do have some yarn that I want to make into, like, it's a chunky yarn. I want to make a brioche cowl with it, so now I know how to do it, so maybe that will happen. So that is Harlow number 1, and that is the last of my finished objects. Oh, I didn't mention, the pattern calls for, the pattern requires 30 grams approximately of each color, and I had leftovers from my, I don't know what these are leftovers from. Leftovers, it's Knit Picks. The gray is Capretta, and the green is more Stroll Tonal. This is Coldstream, and this green did not make it into my Alyeska, but I don't know what I use this green for. Something. It was leftovers. And my Harlow number 2 is currently on the needles. I am knitting this for Father's Day, and so I'm knitting the larger size. And yeah, this is more Knit Picks Stroll, which I don't know if I'll ever get through my Knit Picks Stroll stash. That's okay. It's nice yarn. I do like working with it. It's fine. I just have a lot of it, and I'm getting a tiny bit sick of it. This green is Mountain Pass, and it was in my Alyeska sweater, and the blue is I don't know. I think it's called Sapphire Heather, maybe. Yeah. So that is my second Harlow hat. I really like it with the lower contrasting yarns like this. The Mountain Pass has a lot of like blues in it that are fairly close. It's like a blue turquoise, and then of course the sapphire. And I like the slightly lower contrast. I like the way it is turning out a lot better. Whew, I got a mess here. Okay, I kept flipping it inside out. So yeah, in my first one, I wanted something that was a little bit. This looks really odd on camera. It's not. It's kind of blowing out a little bit. But I wanted something that was higher, slightly higher contrasting, so I could like figure out what I'm doing, because in this one, especially in some of these rows, these blue tonal colors make it a little bit confusing, and not confused. It's just like a little bit harder to figure out which. It's not that hard. It just makes it a little tiny bit more difficult, because I'm working with colors that at times in this green tonal can be fairly similar. So yeah, it's nice, and I really love these hats that have like neutral colors, like two grays. Like, I think that's just so pretty. So another thing that I am enjoying much more about my second Harlow hat, in addition to like knowing how to brioche and like it's going a lot more smoothly, I'm knitting these on metal needles. I knit my first one on wooden needles because somehow the only set of size 2 and size 3 needles that I have are like clover wooden needles that I've had for ever, and I've just gotten by with that. I think mostly if something requires a 2 or a 3, or I don't get gauge and need to use a 2 or a 3, I just either don't do that pattern or I forge ahead without getting gauge. Usually it's on like cuffs and collars and the bottom, ouchie, the bottom, I never know what to call that, the bottom ribbing of your sweater. And I either just go down, way down a needle size, or I don't change my needle size. Anyway, I treated myself and bought some size 3 Hiya Sharps, and I also bought a size 2. They're 16-inch. They are so much better than working with wooden needles. They are sharp, as the name would suggest. The size 2 poked me a couple times before I learned, like, you can't, I don't tend to push my needle with my index finger very often, but occasionally I will, just to readjust it on the needles. And I learned quickly, don't do that with your 2s. The 3s are not quite as sharp. They do have this weird, so I have a weird thing with textures and sounds, and I won't get too far into that, but certain textures and certain sounds really just, like, I have this weird reaction, like, chewing. If you or anybody you know, like, can't stand chewing, you will understand. Like, it's gotten better. When I was 13, it was horrible. I just could not control myself. I heard somebody chewing, I would just lose it. Like, it's just, like, I get very angry. I don't know. Anyways, tangent. There's a name for it. It is like a mental, like, I want to say disorder, but maybe like, it's something going on in your brain where you just can't handle chew. Anyways, so the texture thing. So the reason I like the Addy clips, the reason I like the Addy needles, either the interchangeables or the fixed, is they are so buttery smooth, and they don't have like any kind of resistance to each other when you're, I know when you rub them against each other, you just don't get any kind of like weird texture vibes. These are the first Haya Sharp needles that I've actually worked with, and so like I have very limited experience, but with these ones there is just like a little bit of like grittiness, I want to say, that like just kind of like like why would I care about that? They're very smooth and they're fine, and like I know everybody loves them. Like this and the Chow Goos. I have a pair of Chow Goos. I have two pairs of Chow Goos, and the smaller ones aren't that bad, but the size 7 Chow Goos are like, I feel like there's just like this like like it's like it's it just makes me a little bit like ooh. It's hard to describe, but there's some weird like texture thing going on that in my brain is just like I don't like this. With these ones it's okay, but I think the Chow Goo, the larger Chow Goos, I think maybe the larger needle size, maybe like the more weirdness there is. They're so smooth and I don't know why, and I can get over it. I think it's a kind of a contrast, so if I'm working with my Addy needles and I switch to these, I'm just like but if I've just been working with these for a little while, it's fine. It's totally fine. That turned into a really weird thing about needles. That can't possibly, can't possibly be like anyone where this is gonna be helpful. Like one person in like 1,000 knitters is gonna be like, oh yeah, I have a weird like texture thing too, like that, thanks, I won't buy. You know, like they're fine. They're good needles. They're very sharp. I like them. I like them so much better than the wooden needles. You have probably heard about the whole like podcasters mentioning their needle size. It's not really a debate, it's just a thing. Ellie of Scandier Knits mentioned on one of her recent podcasts that she can't stand it when people mention their needle size because everybody's gauge is different, so why would podcasters feel the need to mention what needle size they're using on their podcast? Because my gauge is totally different from your gauge, so like using the same needles doesn't guarantee that we will get the same fabric, which totally agree with. I mean, I get where, yeah, like it doesn't make sense to mention your needle size, but sometimes I kind of like knowing what needles people are using, what size you're using, just because it just makes me feel a little bit better when I am following a pattern and I have to go up like 3 needle sizes. I'm like, am I doing this wrong? Like, am I reading this wrong? So if somebody else has said like, yeah, I had to go from a 4 to a 7 or something like that, like I'm like, okay, like it's not just me. It's a little bit interesting to see, like, you know, you kind of get an idea of like whether this person is a loose knitter, whether this person is a tight knitter, and that's what I watch podcasts for. I mean, yes, I like to get inspiration from projects and yarn choices and colors and all that, but also like it's kind of nice to get to know like what kind of a knitter and like a little bit more about this person. I don't know. So I sometimes have mentioned needle size. If I haven't, it's not because I am a real stickler about gauge and all that. It's mostly because I forget. But I just thought that was like interesting, and there was another podcaster, Carmen of the New Leaf podcast and New Leaf Designs. Her podcast is so good and I love her so much. Like, pretty much podcasters with accents I love watching. Like, if anybody outside of the US is just like, you got me, I'll watch you. But she what was it? Oh, I was talking about pet peeves. Her pet peeve was people talking about the tea that they're drinking and what mug it was in, you know, like you start out and you have a nice cup of tea and you talk about what's in your mug and where your mug is from, and she's like, I hate that. I don't care. I don't care what tea you're drinking, like, doesn't matter. Which just was really funny to me. I like watching people who aren't worried about offending someone, you know, like, hey, like, I don't care about what I don't, and mentioning your needle size is kind of pointless. Like, I think that's good because, like, you know, there's so many knitting podcasts out there, and a lot of times we all kind of fall into the same rhythm. Like, we're all doing the same stuff. Like, here's my intro, here's my administration, here's my whips, here's my FOs, like, and this is what I'm drinking, you know, and like, and it's totally fine. Like, if you want to talk about your tea, like, go for it. Like, it's your podcast, do it. Like, yes, I'm interested. I always want to know. I always want to know where you got your mug. But, like, it's just kind of nice for people to, like, call you out once in a while, you know? Like, maybe think about what you're producing and what kind of, like, content you're producing. So that's just interesting to me, you know? Just, like, it's, mix it up. Like, if you don't want to follow the same format as everybody else, if you want to just do your own thing and talk about your knitting in a totally different way, like, I think that's amazing. Like, do it. Yes. But on the other hand, like, I just love watching podcasts. I am perfectly happy to watch you talk about your tea. I'm perfectly happy to watch you talk about what needle size you're using. Like, you know, just do you, you know? My next whip is living in this little dish that I found at Target. It's supposed to be a flat lay prop. I think I've used it once now. Super cute. Check these out, you guys. This is the Impossibly Possible pattern by Lisa K. Ross, and I am knitting it in this gorgeous set that I bought in November from Nano Stitch Lab, and it is the Woman of Wonder set. Yes, I am a huge Wonder Woman fan, and earlier this week, June 3rd was Wonder Woman Day, and last year Wonder Woman Day was like a big deal because the movie came out. I think the movie came out like that weekend, or like it was a Wonder Woman palooza. And we went to our local comic book shop, and they were giving away free comics, and it was super fun. This year there wasn't like such a big celebration because there's no movie coming out, but yeah, so this was their little Wonder Woman set, so I cast this on June 3rd to celebrate the Woman of Wonder. And I thought this pattern was perfect because it kind of looks like there's little W's going on there. Somebody on Instagram said it looked like a circus. In a good way, but still, I thought that was funny. This is mosaic knitting, which is kind of interesting on a sock because it gives like kind of a bumpy texture. And I saw on Ravelry somebody did the mosaic texture, the mosaic pattern on the front, and then on the back they just did stripes, which is probably a good idea because it's a little bit bumpy. Which is probably why you don't see a lot of mosaic knit socks. However, I'm obsessed. It's thick, it's squishy, it's gonna be fine. I was a little bit concerned. So the last like 2 or 3 pairs of socks that I've knit have been a little tight, because I haven't really figured out my like how to knit socks for me. I've knit a lot of socks in my knitting lifetime, but I haven't knit a lot of socks. What you talking about? How to Train Your Dragon 3 trailer. Oh my gosh. I love How to Train Your Dragon. So I've had some tight socks because I don't know how to knit socks for myself yet. Usually I do like 64 stitches on varying needle sizes. Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. These have so the mosaic stitch, the mosaic pattern makes it a little bit less stretchy and a little bit tighter and a little bit thicker and a little bit squishier. So it's like a slightly bigger stitch count in order to compensate for that. So this is a 70 stitch count, which we usually knit men's socks on a 72 stitch count. So these are gonna be a little bit big, but I kind of just don't care. Like, honestly, honesty hour. This is like, this whole episode is just like, just my honesty hour. I don't really like wearing socks. I like having socks, and I like fun socks, but like actually wearing socks, just if I don't have to, like if I don't have shoes on, I take my socks off immediately. So I guess like I kind of just am whatever, and if they don't fit perfectly, like I don't really care. These are super fun, and I love them, and I love the way they look, and I love the way like hand knit socks look, and so basically like I wanna photograph them, but after that like I don't really wear them. Which makes me feel really bad. Like I'm a bad knitter. Like, wear your socks. However, so maybe, I don't know, like I don't really want to part with these. So maybe my solution to all this is just to knit socks for other people. They make nice gifts. I like giving them away. But I might have to keep these because they're so cute. You guys, I had like a streak of luck a couple weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. I was just like, boom, winning. Ashley, her Instagram handle is AK Knits, I believe, which AK does not stand for Alaska. AK is the abbreviation, but AK are her initials, which she's not from Alaska, but her handle is AK Knits. I think there might be something else in there. It'll be. She has an amazing yarn collection, and she is also an incredibly generous person. So she has decided that there are certain skeins that she is never going to use, and she could easily de-stash these. She could list them and we would buy them because they're beautiful skeins. But instead of trying to make some money off these, make some money back, because she did, I'm sure she purchased them at some point in her knitting career, she's decided to do giveaways every once in a while. So if you aren't following her on Instagram, go follow her now. Stop what you're doing. Stop watching this. Go follow her. Go follow her. If I got her name wrong, I'll put it below. Go follow her on Instagram. Because, yeah, oh my gosh. My boyfriend is at work, shopping for shoes. He's having like this crisis about whether or not he should buy shoes. Buy the shoes, babe. Life is short. I was talking about Ashley. So, you should be following her because every once in a while she puts up a giveaway thing, and you can just comment below, and if she chooses your name, you will win yarn. That's how giveaways work. She will just send you the yarn for free. So I've been looking, and so she's been doing this for like the last couple months, and they've all been like really, really beautiful yarn, but because she is being so generous and she really wants these yarns to like find their place where they're going to be truly appreciated and loved, I haven't been entering. I might have entered one before this one, because I want to just like be honest and not just be like, oh my god, chance to win free yarn. You know, it's like, would I really knit this? Would I like appreciate this and use this? And so like I haven't been entering. Like I said, I think I entered one more. Whew, foot is falling asleep. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I can't feel my leg. Holy smokes, just get on with it. So she posted this one, and I was like, okay, I totally have an idea in mind for those skeins of yarn, and I would knit this one. This is one that I would knit, so I commented, and she chose my name. She chose me. Oh, okay. So what I received in the mail last week was, I can't even hold all this. 7 skeins of Quince & Co. Lark. It's so pretty. So it is 100% American wool. It's a 50-gram skein per. This one is clay, the colorway, made in the USA. It is so nice. It's sheepy and woolly and grippy, and I think it would make amazing color work, and I have so many color options. Like, ooh, that's a good combo. I am feeling that right now. I just, it's like, it's coming off a little bit more saturated on camera, I think, and that's what I noticed. Like I posted this on Instagram, she posted a photo of this, and these colors are a little tiny bit more, a little bit less muted on camera than they are in person, which I really like, because you can pretty much, like usually I wouldn't put like green and red together unless it was like a Christmas thing, but because these colors are just muted and a little bit, it's kind of like when you work with naturally dyed yarn, like any color that's been naturally dyed kind of just goes really well with other naturally dyed colors, if that makes any sense. Yeah, just so pretty. It's all so good. Oof. Holding these up and looking at them on camera, I'm so tempted to do like a something color work, because it is really, this would be really amazing color work yarn. Most of the color work I've done, because most of the yarn I work with is superwash, it's like, it's Knit Pick Stroll, I'll be honest, and it would be really fun to do like a color work. Yes, like a pair of mittens or something. Yeah, I am having a vision. But I'm kind of thinking like, my original idea was hats. I don't know, we'll see. I think I'll bring this with me because it seems like it'll be like good for like quick projects. It's worsted weight, so yeah. I think it'd be perfect. Perfect for like projects for this summer. Which sounds funny because usually like in the summertime you want like cotton and fingering weight and linen, and I'm like, yeah, worsted weight 100% wool be perfect for summer projects. Ugh. Yes, yes, yes. So that's my big win. That's my big W. And I'm so excited for all of this. And now I'm kind of stalling because I have to say goodbye. I don't really want to. If there was a way for me to keep recording for the next 2 months, I totally would, because this has been really fun. And I really appreciate everyone. I really appreciate everyone who has tuned in, who continues to tune in, to everyone who has liked my videos, commented, and those of you who have subscribed. I love you. I love you. And thanks for watching. But the time has come and I do have to say goodbye. So I wish you all the best summer ever. Seriously, just have the greatest time. Keep knitting, and I can't wait to come back and see all your projects. So yeah, I hope you will stick around because I have fun stuff planned for the fall. We've got giveaways, we've got knit-alongs that I want to do, and I really hope that you will stay tuned for that. So again, have an amazing summer and knit a lot, crochet a lot, make a lot, or don't. Just relax, have fun, and be well and happy making. Bye!